somebody who regularly comes on our network, Hilary Fordwich, recently made an appearance on CNN where host Don Lemon asked her about the royal family and reparations. See how this unfolded.
And then you have those who are asking for reparations for colonialism, and they're wondering, you know, $100 billion, $24 billion here and there, $500 million there. Some people want to be paid back, and members of the public are wondering, why are we suffering when you are, you know, you have all of this vast wealth? Those are legitimate concerns.
Well, I think you're right about reparations in terms of if people want it, though, what they need to do is you always need to go back to the beginning of a supply chain. Where was the beginning of the supply chain? That was in Africa. And when across the entire world, when the slavery was taking place, which was the first nation in the world that abolished slavery? The first nation in the world to abolish it. It was started by William Wilberforce, was the British. In Great Britain, they abolished slavery. 2,000 naval men died on the high seas trying to stop slavery. Why? Because the African kings were rounding up their own people. They had them on cages waiting in the beaches. No one was running into Africa to get them. And I think you're totally right. If reparations need to be paid, we need to go right back to the beginning of that supply chain and say who was rounding up their own people and having them handcuffed in cages. Absolutely. That's where they should start. And maybe, I don't know, the descendants of those families where they died in the high seas trying to stop the slavery, that those families should receive something too, I think, at the same time.
It's an interesting discussion, Hilary. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. We'll continue to discuss.
No, we wanted to hear the rest of what he said.
Yeah.
So I don't think he expected. Yeah, we wanted to get the reaction there.
Which was priceless.
That threw him off a little bit.
It sure did. It was...
Because this is the argument you hear all the time about reparations. There's certain assumptions that go in it. And you know Hilary a little bit, and she went into some detail that makes you go, oh, maybe I need to look at this a little closer.
Review history a little bit. I mean, she shared things that I didn't even know about, but it was interesting because Hilary was with us here on Newsmax yesterday morning as we were covering the funeral services of Queen Elizabeth II. And, you know, we had a lot of time during the morning to chit-chat, and she was talking to me about that specific interview, and she said, that was not at all what we were going to talk about. I was completely caught off guard. She certainly didn't seem to be caught off guard.
Right.
But she said I was angry because that is certainly not what we were going to be talking about. I just wish I had started saying that there's nothing okay about slavery at all. It's all horrific. Right. She said, otherwise, I'm thrilled with what I said, but I didn't. I wish I'd set it up differently. But I mean, she was so to the point, so clear, and again, left Don Lemon.
Yeah, I think he was a little nonplussed there. And the fact is, it's hard to draw a direct line with everything. For instance, I'm married to someone who's Hispanic, whose father was born in a boxcar in South Texas, a Mexican-American. Spanish was his first language. Has 5 kids, wildly successful. 2 of them lawyers, another with a PhD, my wife with a master's. If there are reparations, do I pay them? I don't even know who my grandfather was. I mean, it gets very complicated.
Yeah, interesting. Before we go, also Bill Maher actually did a really interesting segment on a very similar topic this weekend, saying the word slave actually comes from Slavics.
No crooked establishment.
None of that twisting the
truth.
No talking down to me.
Don't tell me how to think.
Don't tell me how to think.
Don't tell me how to think.
I trust Newsmax.
Newsmax.
They don't tell me how to think.
They
let me decide.
Newsmax.
Real news
for real people.